Hey, my name's Anthony,
My name's Alex.
and we are
The PTA Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Thank you for joining me for another episode of the PTA Podcast. I'm flying solo today, and unlike Alex's episodes, I won't be talking about mental stuff or trying to break things like plateaus or whatnot. I'm going to give you guys something a little bit different. Now, with this episode, I'm going to be speaking about the 10 reasons why I truly believe that you need to be eating 5 meals a day and why that's essential for fat loss. Now, most people, when they initially speak to me about their nutrition, they tend to be very apprehensive about how many meals they should be having per day or how many calories to be consuming per day. A lot of the time I hear people talk about 1,200 calories and how they feel like that's the way to go about it. Or maybe 1,100 or 1,000 or no more than 1,500. Any one of those numbers that I just said is far too low for any of you to be living off long term and expecting consistent results in the realm of fat loss. And the reason why I say that is because that is a significantly low calorie deficit. That calorie deficit will cause your body in the long term, what I mean by long term is like 12 weeks or more in that level of deficit, to start to adapt. When the body adapts to a deficit like that, it's actually not a good thing because your body's defense mechanisms and survival mechanisms will upregulate. So therefore, your fat loss will completely slow down and you could potentially go the opposite way. But the real big reason why eating, say, 1,200 calories for a long term is really bad is for your health, taking aside from the fact that your fat loss will halt, your body starts to find energy from elsewhere to cover the shortfall that you have given your body. And the shortfall in that energy in particular. So it'll go for things like your organ tissue. It'll go for things like your muscle mass. It'll go for things like your bone density. And it'll eat away at things like your ligaments, your tendons. It'll use whatever it can to be able to keep you alive. So your skin will change and lose color. You'll feel, a lot more a lot more lethargic. You won't be able to focus. You'll have a higher chance of injuring yourself because you are essentially becoming weaker, especially for the gym. So these things can set in, but in your brain, you think it's the way to go to lose body fat. And this is my argument. This is my reasoning behind why eating at maintenance calories and using the most amount of calories to lose body fat is the only way to go about it. That calorie number for each and every one of you will be different. And the reason why I say that is because each and every one of you are unique. You have different bodies that require different needs, especially in the realm of energy, especially in the realm of macros, i.e. protein, carbs, and fats. So when we look at it from that perspective, why is it so important to be consuming multiple times per day? And how does that actually align with fat loss? Because if we think and we assume that less is better in terms of calories, how is eating 5 meals a day actually better for us? This is where I'm going to break down some of the myths and also give you guys a lot of good science about it all. So point number 1 is that it's actually really good with managing your blood sugar. Now, when we manage our blood sugar, what happens when we eat smaller size meals 3 to 4 hours apart 5 times a day, is that we manage our blood sugar. When we manage our blood sugar and we prevent extreme highs or extreme lows in blood sugar, what we end up doing is we allow ourselves to not fall into those energy crashes. We also allow ourselves to cut any of those sugar cravings. So this may seem like common knowledge, but there are a lot of you that don't know this. There are a lot of you that are doing the opposite. And so when you have better energy, so when you have more stable blood sugar, you have better energy, you're less likely to break away from the plan or from the structure or from the consistency that you need to be showing around your nutrition to allow you to move forward in the areas that you want, especially fat loss. The second thing is that it reduces cravings and the potential for binge eating. Now, spacing out meals evenly throughout the day, it really allows you to manage things like your hunger hormones a lot better. Our hunger hormones are two things. Ghrelin and leptin. Leptin is what we term as our satiety hormone, which is a hormone that regulates how satisfied we feel a bit after meals. And ghrelin is our typical hunger hormone. And the hunger hormone is really high around the time that we're hungry. So take an example of this, or like this. When you leave yourself to having only, one or two or three big meals, by the time you get to that big meal, your ghrelin is through the roof because you're absolutely starving. Your leptin is very low because you haven't had anything. So you have a huge meal. Some of you will be on the road for work or go to what's convenient. Generally speaking, it'll be some kind of fast food. So you get a large Big Mac meal with 10 nuggets and, a big Coke. You might get some ice cream after that because you're hungry still. And you're left feeling like absolute rubbish. And that's a version of binge eating because you've had this extremely huge meal with a lot of calories, no nutrients, and a lot of highly processed food. Okay? That huge meal is what we term as binge eating, right? Because you just don't know when to stop. And it's always big, 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 big. Same thing will happen at dinner, and then you'll snack at dinner later. And with breakfast, you'll have something small if you don't have an appetite, or you may skip breakfast altogether. Okay, they leave yourself really open to this big meal. So that's why it's really important to eat breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, have it structured with good consistency throughout your day, but really make sure that what you're doing is designed to see you succeed. Because when you reduce your cravings, when you stop giving yourself the opportunities to binge eat, you stay on track better. Okay, you're less likely to break away from what you're supposed to be doing with your nutrition because you're really managing everything that affects your cravings, in particular, those hunger hormones. Point number 3, when we look at boosting our metabolism, we always look at the thermic effect of food. Now, thermic effect of food, to put it plainly and to put it simply, so you all can understand, that's talking about how much energy our body uses to burn off the food, or to digest, the food that we're consuming. Protein in particular has the highest thermic effect. So it requires the most amount of calories to burn protein, to digest protein whenever we consume it. So when we look at that and we use it to our advantage, every time we eat, our body needs to burn calories to digest, to absorb, and to be able to metabolize the nutrients that we consume. When we eat frequently, it keeps that kind of metabolic furnace, as we term it, active the majority of our day, or more frequently throughout our day. What this allows us to do, it just allows us to simply contribute to a higher amount of calories out in the calories in, calories out equation, which means that we're giving ourselves more of an opportunity to burn off calories or burn calories to push that fat loss goal just a little bit more. Okay, so that's a really good, easy way to use your nutrition to your advantage for your fat loss goals. Number 4, which is one of my favorites, it helps preserve muscle, which in my opinion is your secret weapon to your fat loss. If you're losing muscle, and if you want fat loss to be sustainable, losing muscle is not the way to go about it. For fat loss to be sustainable, you need to be either growing or preserving muscle. Consistent protein feeds. So if you're eating 5 meals a day and there's protein in every meal, that's consistent protein feeds in my opinion. It will ensure that we keep muscle from breaking down during any part of our calorie deficit. Because like I said earlier, if we are in a calorie deficit for long enough, our body recognizes the energy shortfall, and then we'll start to go for muscle and burn that off to make up that energy shortfall, which is not productive for anybody wanting to lose fat in a sustainable manner and for the long term, and then keep it off as well. Number 5, when we eat frequently throughout our day, it enhances things like our energy and our focus. All of you listening are definitely high-level thinkers and are on the go constantly. So why would you just want to drag your feet and not have good focus, not have good energy, not train well, not get through your day well, all in the name of being on a restrictive diet with low calories to lose body fat? That makes absolutely no sense to me. My goal with all of the Platinum Training Academy clients and even my online clients is to get you to lose the most amount of fat on the highest amount of calories possible. Now, going back to that 1200 calorie diet, I absolutely despise the individuals that brought that about, because what they did was they ruined people's mental health around nutrition and physical health around nutrition. And despite the constant information that people like me put out there, there is a psychological impact that this low amount of calories has had on a lot of people, which is very, very hard to break away from, because they are not willing to go through the short-term change for the long-term success. And what I mean is, when you're going from 1200 calories and you're starting to eat more food and you're going up towards 2000 calories and you're going above that, because that may be your calorie maintenance number, that for you will be difficult to comprehend, because there is a time where you start feeling like you're skinny and lean, and you may have to put on a bit of body fat along the way, and your weight will shift upwards because you have more food in your system. You're not willing to go through the uncomfortable phase because of the fact that you're just so short-minded, and then you miss out on the long-term amazing progress that will follow once your body adapts in a positive way. So this is my frustration. So when I look at people that are just dragging their feet because they're so exhausted, I ask the question, how much food have you eaten today? Oh, I'm on 1200 calories, or I've done 1000 calories. I'm almost at my calorie limit for the day. I'm like, man, you're doing yourself a disservice, all in the name of looking better. Okay? I've got people looking fantastic on 3000 plus calories. So if you're interested, let me know, because I can definitely help you. But you need to be open to change. Point number 6. When we eat regularly throughout our day, it actually does a lot of good for your hormones. It regulates your hormones. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 in particular. Your cortisol, your insulin, and your thyroid hormone. Okay, those 3 in particular are heavily impacted by restrictive eating and ultra low calories. Now, what happens there is, and if those 3 in particular are impacted in a negative way, it will significantly impact your fat loss. If anything, you put on fat when you affect those things in a negative way. Skipping meals can elevate things like cortisol, which is your low-grade adrenaline hormone, okay, which increases fat storage, particularly with that hormone in particular, around the front of your stomach, around that midsection area. So if any of you are struggling to lose the body fat around the front here, think about how you're managing your stress. From a nutritional standpoint, look at how many meals you're having per day and the quality of those meals, and look at the amount of calories in general that you're having per day. If you think you're doing the right thing and you still have that tie around your midsection, reach out to me. Let's talk about this in a bit more detail. Point number 7. When you eat multiple times a day and each meal itself is smaller in size, you're actually having a really good positive impact on your digestion and the ability for your body to absorb those nutrients. The reason why I don't like bigger meals is because it significantly distresses the digestive system, which makes it so much harder for your digestive system to break the food down efficiently, allow your gut lining, in particular your small intestine, to be able to absorb those nutrients. Big meals are not good for digestion. Therefore, absorption of nutrients is less. Therefore, your fat loss gets halted. Do not get it twisted. When you have good gut health, when you have good digestion, when you have good nutrient absorption, you are going to feel and look 1,000 times better. There's one thing to consume food, and there's a whole other thing to absorb food. Absorbing nutrients is just as important, if not more important, than eating those nutrients. Okay? So understand that when you have smaller meals in your day, spread more frequently throughout your day, the absorption rate of those nutrients is a lot better. And the digestion of those foods is a lot better. You will feel a lot better. When you have big meals, you also feel really bloated. You can sometimes feel really fatigued and lethargic, and that's your body telling you that what you've just done ain't a good thing. Okay, food coma, not good. So don't look at it like, I just had a lot of food right now. It's not good at all, because your body is really struggling with allowing you to be able to use whatever nutrients that you gave it, even if it's your chicken and broccoli. Okay? Number 8, and one of the things that I like to talk about as well is the whole mental accountability side of things when you're eating multiple times a day. Eating every few hours promotes really good structure and really good discipline. So it has a really good positive impact on how accountable you can keep yourself, especially from a mental point of view. When we are doing these things, we're less likely to be very random with our meals or skip meals or have random snacks because we're on point with what we need to be doing. And we just feel so much more accomplished at the end of the day because we've done all the things that we need to do around our nutrition to keep us seeing progress in the areas that we want, especially around fat loss. Number 9, it actually allows you to perform really well in the gym, but also encourages you to recover really well. Now, I know that's a no-brainer, but there are so many of you that do not prepare yourselves well enough to train well. I was a culprit of it. I'm in a rush. I just quickly get it done. I won't warm up properly. I didn't eat well before my session. Or sometimes I went in on an empty stomach. There is no good that comes from eating on an empty stomach. Training on an empty stomach. There is no good. Your fasted cardio, training on an empty stomach in the morning because you think it's better for you, it's not good for you at all. Eating frequently throughout your day will give you the protein that you need to recover. It will give you the calories that you need to fill you with energy so you can perform well. Do not get it twisted. Eating consistently will feed your performance so much better than if you were to do something on an empty stomach, for example. Number 10, which is a really good point I want to highlight as well, is it creates long-term sustainable lifestyle habits, which are the key to getting you to achieve and therefore maintain the results that you want. Okay, the goal isn't for you to lose the weight right now and then put it back on. The goal is for you to lose the weight right now and to learn how to keep it off for the long term. This is where sustainable lifestyle habits are really, really important. It's always about keeping you eating 5 structured meals per day, which helps you to create sustainable habits. It reduces things like decision fatigue, and it makes healthy eating feel like it's effortless rather than you being stressed out about it. So if you're eating your 5 meals a day, chances are you're prepping them ahead of time. Chances are you're taking away the decisions that you need to constantly make. Chances are you're not stressing about this whole thing. Chances are you're not going to skip meals. Chances are you're not going to fall off the bandwagon or fall off track or go eat random stuff like I said before. Chances are you're going to succeed in the goal of fat loss and then keep it off. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this little short episode. 10 points that are very actionable for each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that.